All right, let's jump right in and explore a truly thrilling mystery: how early humans first began to record their lives. We're going way, way back, thousands of years, to look at some of the most fascinating artifacts ever discovered, the prehistoric rock paintings of India. This explainer isn't just about dusty old drawings. We're talking about uncovering the very first time human beings decided to leave a permanent mark on the world around them.
But before we get into the nitty-gritty, ask yourself, why did early humans paint in the first place? Did our ancient ancestors really go through the immense, exhausting effort of grinding minerals and climbing steep, dangerous cave walls just to spruce up their living rooms? Or were they driven by the exact same urge we have today to keep a visual diary of our day-to-day lives? It's a profound question, and the evidence we're about to unpack gives us some mind-blowing clues.
So here is our roadmap for this explainer. We'll start with the primal canvas, hit a really surprising discovery timeline, explore the wonders of Bhimbetka, look at the evolution of ancient art, dive into the chemistry of the colors, and finally, unpack this prehistoric visual diary.
Okay, part 1, the primal canvas, expressing the human experience. Picture this, a world with literally zero paper, no formal language, and absolutely no written word. That's prehistory. It is a notoriously tricky era to study precisely because we don't have those written documents to rely on. To figure out how these ancient people actually lived, scholars basically have to play detective. They dig up old tools, broken pottery, bones. But you know what? The most direct, unfiltered window into their minds comes from the drawings left on cave walls. Once basic survival needs like food and shelter were met, humans felt this deep, undeniable itch to express themselves. Those rough cave walls literally became humanity's very first canvas.
Moving on to part 2, a surprising discovery timeline, finding the first canvas. Okay, think about the number 12 for a second. Why does that matter? Well, it's actually a pretty staggering little-known fact. An archaeologist named Archibald Carlyle stumbled upon rock paintings in India a full 12 years before the legendary Altamira caves were even discovered in Spain. 12 whole years. This completely flips the usual script on the timeline of global art history. And the sheer spread of these sites proves these weren't just isolated doodles in one random cave. The remnants are everywhere. They span across the entire Indian subcontinent, from the Kumaon Hills up in Uttarakhand, straight through Madhya Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar, all the way down to the granite rocks of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. The geographical scale of this prehistoric artistic movement is absolutely breathtaking.
Section 3, The Wonders of Bhimbetka, the crown jewel of rock art.
This brings us to the Vindhya ranges of Madhya Pradesh, specifically a place called Bhimbetka. Imagine lush forests, fresh streams, wild plants, basically the ultimate Stone Age real estate. It's a massive 10-square-kilometer site that was discovered back in 1957-58 by V.S. Wakankar. He spent years trekking through these intense, inaccessible jungles, and the payoff? Around 800 rock shelters, with 500 of them covered in vivid, incredible paintings. The massive, echoing scale of the cave entrances, combined with the incredibly intricate details of the animal paintings, is just wow.
Next up, Part 4, Evolution of Ancient Art, from linear to dynamic.
When you break the art down era by era, you see this amazing, undeniable evolution of skill. In the older Upper Paleolithic period, you get these massive, linear representations of animals: bisons, elephants, tigers, mostly done in dark reds and greens. Generally speaking, the green figures were dancers and the red ones were hunters. But then, fast forward to the Mesolithic period, and bam, everything shifts. The paintings actually shrink in size, but the themes, they just explode. Suddenly you've got dynamic, action-packed hunting scenes. But you also see community dances, people gathering honey, women grinding food, even kids running around and playing. It goes from just drawing a giant animal to capturing the entire spectrum of daily family life.
For example, take the artwork from Lakhudiyar in Uttarakhand. On one hand, you have these incredibly stylized, hand-linked red dancers where you can almost feel the rhythm of the community jumping off the rock. And right alongside that, there are these super complex, wavy geometric lines. Think about the conditions here. Terrible lighting, a rough rock wall, and the most basic tools imaginable. Yet these artists completely nailed the proportions and tonal effects. It's an absolute masterclass in early human ingenuity.
All right, Part 5, Colors, Chemistry, and Superimposition, the Science of Survival.
Now you might be wondering, how on earth did these natural pigments survive thousands of years of brutal weather? Well, the secret is all in the chemistry.
These artists were literally grinding up rocks and minerals to make their paint. Red came from a mineral called jiru, green from a rock called chalcedony, and white was likely crushed limestone. We paint our modern living rooms and it starts chipping in 5 years, right? But these colors have lasted millennia. Scientists actually figured out that the oxide on the rock surfaces reacted chemically with the pigment, so the cave wall itself actively acted as a sealant to lock those colors in permanently.
But the chemistry isn't the only wild thing about these walls. Here's a mind-blowing mystery for you. At Bhimbetka, researchers have found spots where there is as many as 20 different layers of paintings, just stacked directly on top of one another.
Which begs a massive question. Why keep painting over the old stuff? Did the new kids on the block just hate the old art and decide to cover it up? Were these specific layered spots considered highly sacred by the community? Or was it just, a practical choice? Maybe generations separated by hundreds of thousands of years were just continuously reusing the best, smoothest canvas in the cave. It's this wild, ancient layer cake of human history that scholars are still trying to untangle today.
Finally, Part 6, the Prehistoric Visual Diary, a legacy of humanity.
Let's tie all of this together. When you consider an action-packed Mesolithic hunting scene, it is absolutely crucial to realize we aren't just looking at primitive, rudimentary stick figures. This is a deep, emotional record. Some of these paintings show pure terror, man injured and scattered on the ground by massive beasts, while other paintings show real tenderness toward the animals. You can literally see the adrenaline of the hunt, the joy of the community dances, and the harsh reality of death. Creating these scenes likely gave early humans a vital, psychological sense of power and control over the unforgiving environment they had to survive in every single day.
It really all boils down to this. The primitive artists seemed to possess an intrinsic passion for storytelling. Long before the alphabet was invented, before writing was even a spark of an idea, our ancestors were driven by this undeniable, passionate need to tell their stories. They needed to document exactly who they were, what terrified them, and what they celebrated.
So as we wrap up this explainer on the world's original visual diary, I want to leave you with a provocative thought. Imagine you only had a rock wall and some crushed up minerals to record your entire life for a civilization 10,000 years in the future. What story would you tell? What images would you leave behind to prove that you were here? Keep questioning the history around you.